to start the live stream, I was in the live or I was in the Zoom already a little bit
Hmm.
earlier trying to get everything set up because I haven't quite created just yet a backdrop for Monday Mayhem. I like to have a different one. Um, oh wait, I don't want to do that. Let me mute that. Okay. Um, and so I was trying to make sure that everything was going to go through the right way, and it was just, you know how it is.
Hmm.
So now I think we're good to go now. Let me log in over here.
Hmm.
All right. But now I think we're good to go now. This one. Let me log in over here. There we go. All right. All right, it's 9 o'clock, everybody. Welcome to Monday Mayhem. If you are not politically inclined or you are easily offended by certain political views, this may not be the podcast for you. Please keep the chat nice and clean and respectful. I am so incredibly honored to be in the presence of such exquisite intelligence and beauty as the beautiful Miss Taz, joining me this week as guest co-host. She is literally just the cutest little package of information you could ever possibly want. And she provides it in a respectful and intelligent, yet oh so sassy way. We love the presentation. We love the information. Her facts are always spot on. And that is why I knew she had to be the one for tonight. Because, of course, we are discussing the shit show, the mayhem, the debauchery that is our current political government. Um, there's a lot going on, Taz. There is just so much going on and so few answers. No light at the end of the tunnel.
There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. There's a lot going on, but hopefully, when we come out of this Groundhog's Day, the United States will finally decide to reconcile and start teaching and learning its actual history, because we're going to keep going through this cycle. But I do know one person who's probably having some buyer's remorse after this weekend, and that would be Grinder Man himself, Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, because word on the curb, actually from a maintenance man down in Mar-a-Lago, Trump has been bragging that he's not only president, but he's Speaker of the House because Mike Johnson only does what Trump says.
And he's
Oh,
not
that's got a
wrong.
sting.
He's not wrong. For one of the very few moments in life, POTUS has been honest because I have seen, listen, we both work in the legal realm. We both work with statute and litigation. We know how some people acquire their JD, right? The things that people will
Mhm.
do to get through law school. I worked for an attorney that was a dominatrix. That was what she did once she graduated and passed the bar. She was practicing directly in front of some of the judges that she was whipping just a year prior.
Mhm.
And I have never seen a cuck so cuckish as Mike Johnson. When you use the phrase, they sold their soul for that, he sold his soul, he sold his heart, he sold his eternity, he sold the kitchen sink.
Here's the thing: you got to have a soul in order to sell it. He he is the epitome of playing the long game, because he and his wife, this is the ultimate lavender marriage. She's a lesbian, he's a gay man. And for those that don't know, I'm a queer Black woman. I'm not saying this in a shady way. I say this in a factual way. They met at a conversion camp. They realized, you know what, we can cover for each other. We can be a beard for each other. We can lead the fight against our lifestyle, our truth, and this will get us power. This is why Mike Johnson sat back for all of those rounds of voting and sat back and sat back and sat back and never threw his name in the hat. He sowed discourse amongst all of the factions, the Gates 8, all of them. And then he crept up, and people were like, well, where did he come from? From the GOP never being united. The GOP has been a collection of self-eating factions since its inception. That's what a lot of people don't know and don't realize. So he has been playing the long game to do this. This is why he had the adopted black son. This is why he said the things that he said. He's pushed himself out there because currently a happily married man that would have sold his soul would not be avoiding going home to Louisiana and staying in
Right.
the historic home of Frederick Douglass with a man known to be a porn addict to the point where he blasts porn on full volume on the big screen TV in the living room in the front of the house.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, listen, I get having to work away from your mate. My mate works for the federal government. He is on base. He is hours upon hours away from me. And one of the reasons why I may be a little bit flustered with this administration is he doesn't even get to come home anymore because of everything that's going on. He's got too much stuff going on. And even then, he lives by himself. I hear from him. I know what he's doing. I also know that I don't have to worry about him. And when I tell him I need him, he's there.
Mm-hmm.
Cannot fathom unless they are two people who truly just do not love each other. I cannot fathom being away from your partner that long without just cause. And correct me if I'm wrong, Taz, but are we not moving into week 5 of a shutdown? What's he doing? The rest of them have gone home. Instead of being home with his wife, he's giving daily press briefings where you can clearly see his rosacea coming out as the bullshit rolls off his breath.
And here's the thing: we've had quite a few in recent history. In recent history, government shutdowns. Generally, during the government shutdowns, Congress gets together and starts negotiating through things. We don't have a full budget, and we keep getting it pushed off for things like this so that they can hold the country hostage so that everyone can be distracted. Now, I do know that there's some chatter with people going, they're never opening back up the government. You're going to have to do the things that they want to do that are on their agenda. They're going to have to. But we have to go back to Trump administration 1.0. They will drag this as long as they can. And the reason why is while the government is shut down, they're going to try to prove points like they did in the first administration. They're going to try to say, see, we were able to survive with only this amount of people in this agency and only this amount of people here. But I want people to not forget the biggest reason the government has to reopen, all of Trump, the vast majority of Trump's nominees have not had their confirmation hearings.
Mm-mm. They haven't even had their FBI background check. How
They're
many people do
skipping
we have in
FBI
office right now that
They're
has
skipping FBI background checks this round. Is this constitutional? No. Does this go against Congress? Absolutely. Why isn't there more pushback? Sorry to say this, but on all sides, on both sides of the aisle, too many people do not know the scopes of their positions. They don't have a working understanding of the Constitution, so they don't even know what they can and can't push back on. I know y'all don't like to hear that, but some of your faves have no idea that they have more power than what they actually do. We have ambassadorships that are still wide open, still wide open. We still have staffing positions in the White House that have not been fulfilled. There are a lot of missing links.
we have a
We're
congressional
ripe for
member
the
who has
taking.
not been sworn in. We have a congressional member who was voted into office more than 30 days ago, where an entire region stood up and said, we want this to be the voice of our constituency. And she has not been sworn in because she honestly answered a question on a
And here's the thing,
news
this is why I
show.
say too many of our congressmen and women, our congresspeople, don't know the power that they wield because everybody's waiting on Mike Johnson. Newsflash, per the Constitution and congressional rules, you don't have to wait for Mike Johnson. You all can get
You don't.
together and create a vote, and you can decide which one of you sitting sworn in members can swear her in. You can bypass Mike Johnson, but not enough know this. So they're sitting back going, our hands are tied, our hands are tied. Yeah, you're tying your hands and you're
And this is
allowing
my
them to super
frustration
glue
with the
you to the chair.
Democrats because we are watching them, and I commend the Democrats. They're trying to do it the legal way. They want to make sure that there is no way to impugn their actions, and we all get that. But we are not fighting with fair fighters. They could care less about the law. They could care less about the checks, the balances, the statutes, and the codes that control them, that were written of and by the people, because
Mm-hmm.
we employ you. You work for us. And right now, I have seen hmm, I have seen community service people do a better job, follow better directions. This is a situation where they are trying to do it the right way. And as they do it, we are watching our democracy and our country slip away inch by inch.
Here's the thing, the right way now is no holds barred. We are still playing under the guise as if the rules and regulations and the legislation is still the same, and it's not. But also, this is why learning actual history is important. We have been indoctrinated into believing that protests are just enough. It's not. I know people like to look back at, the Pettus Bridge March and the Montgomery bus boycott. Clutch your pearls, okay? The bus boycott did nothing. The bus company was willing to go bankrupt. It did nothing but act as a distraction. If you want forward motion, you have to work as a machine. You're going to need to establish and convene and push out lobbyists. You're going to have to protest. You're going to have to sue, all in combination. You're also going to have to get with grassroots organizations and political parties and stop just churning out for the presidency. We need to stop acting as if the presidency is the end all to be all. Let's be real. Our presidency is just a figurehead. Okay. The real power is in Congress. We have to get people into Congress to get things that we want and keep our lobbyists on their necks to move it forward. Protest is to make you listen to and look at our message. Everything else is to drive the message into reality. We keep, and I know, and I love y'all for the No Kings protest, but we keep doing things outside of business hours. Who are we disrupting and what demands came along with the protest? You all got together on a Saturday, not in front of any federal buildings, not in front of any courthouses, not with any list of demands. We need a manifesto for change. We have to have a plan for what we want implemented and how it's going to work. Because other than that, it's going to be a forever talking point. And that's how too many people are getting elected. These forever talking points, and y'all have to take your emotions out of these things. Emotions aren't going to save any lives. Emotions aren't going to feed anybody. Emotions aren't going to pay any bills. You can sit at home with your emotions all day long.
Well, and the thing is that the reason that Republicans view Democrats as the weaker party is because the Democrats are perpetual procrastinators. They are part of the reason that it gets as bad as it is. And I'm not saying all of them. We have some great leaders in that party right now. And I say we knowing that I'm a Republican. We all know I'm a Republican. Um, but right now the left gets my support because I can't sign on with what my party is doing. I cannot in good conscience sign on with what's happening. I see some great leaders on the left. See, look, I'm all choked up. I see some great leaders on the left. I see some people who are willing to make the proper changes. But I also see a lot of people who clearly feel like they are out of their league, who clearly do not want to be the one to take the shot across the bow because they don't want to put their name on the line. And my question to them is, what are you doing there? Why are you there?
But we also have to put this into view, and we have to include this context. Those that are not on the right, and right, left, are political ideologies, not parties, because you can be right wing and a part of any party. I am registered to the Pink Party. Yes, there is a political party called the Pink Party. No, I did not start the Pink Party, which I understand why people think that, but I did it. Okay. And here's the thing. We got to put some things in context. Conservative Republicans are the loudest. This is why, for the past decade, they have felt that they are the majority and the voice of the United States, and they're not. Non-right, extreme right leaning individuals, because I know a lot of people who lean to the right that are not this extreme and have never been MAGA. So I'm not going to put them
Right.
on all of them and put them in the box. You never want to ask for the manager. You always want to keep the peace. But I want to ask y'all something, and I really want y'all to take it in and think about it. Where's the peace in misery? Where is the peace in silent pain? Because that's really what you're asking for. Pick up the phone and ask to speak to the manager. Put your foot down and say, I'm not going to do this. You have kept the peace to the point where we have lost so many things. When I first got into the job market, we had real benefits packages. Not just healthcare, not just Aflac, but you got discount cards. If you work for this company, there were other companies you could go in and get a
You weren't
$5,
scared to go to the
$20,
doctor.
right,
You
$30
weren't, you
discount,
had
stuff like
insurance
that.
and weren't scared to go to the doctor, you know?
And not only did you get holiday bonuses, but a lot of people never bought the main protein for their holiday meals because they'd be sent home
You got
with
a
it.
turkey or a ham.
Like you
You
got
know?
sent home with this. Like I remember both of my parents coming up, like they had to tell like their respective companies, like, okay, this year, don't order this for me. You know, my wife's getting this from her company. Like there was one time my mom came home with 6 dozen cookies because the
Yep.
company knew that we hosted Christmas Eve at our house. And they were like, well, you're not getting, because the company that my dad worked for at the time that he retired from, it doesn't even exist anymore. He got a turkey and a ham. So we're covered for meat. So these are the things that we have let go of. You have allowed yourself to be talked out of things because you want to keep the peace. Keeping the peace has always kept us shackled, every single one of us. Every
Yep.
single one of us. So and I understand that some people got into politics to be selfless. And there are some people who don't want to take the shot because they're like, I came here to be a supporting player. I came here to make sure that my vote would make sure this legislation came through. Democratic Party, too many of y'all are turning into Republicans because you're going for the sound bites and not the action.
Yep.
Corey and Hakeem, I'm looking at y'all. I'm looking at y'all because you're letting your light skinnedness show. And we also have to keep in mind how many Republicans know how to play the game where they'll pretend to be a Democrat for a year or two or a term or two and then come out and go, yeah, well, I'm switching parties. You're not switching parties. That's who you've always been.
That right there.
Fetterman,
That
I'm
part right
looking at
there.
you because Fetterman, Tazzy Farms remembers you chasing not just a black man, but a black woman with a gun because you didn't like how they were. And the Republican Party are the ones that keep their foot under your neck because after your stroke, they said that you cognitively weren't there and they don't like the fact that you don't know how to dress. And look, I understand that you have difficulties. I had a minor stroke myself, but sweetheart, I can still show up and not be in basketball shorts if somebody needs me to come do a damn job. Now, I'm not the get super, super dressed up type of girly. I'm not. I think y'all seen me in makeup maybe 4 or 5 times, and it ain't even a whole bunch of makeup. Okay, I am a chapstick girly. Well, lip
Right.
oil now.
I mean, you see how often I do my
Yeah, like that's how we look. Only reason I got this shirt on is because I spilled coffee on the t-shirt that I had on before, and this was the closest shirt, and I wasn't
I
going
wear
back
the same
upstairs.
hoodie for everything. I just wear a shirt under it. I wear the same hoodie for everything.
Well, my go-to hoodie
Is in
over the
Chicago right
weekend, and
now.
I took the pup out for a walk, and then we decided to sit at the playground for a little bit to get away from the noise. And I have the leash that goes around your
The
waist,
waist. Yeah.
and he saw a squirrel and took off, and I face planted onto the dirt. So the whole front of that,
Ugh.
yeah. So we're washing that now. I mean, I
You gotta
didn't get
have a
hurt. Like it's one of those playgrounds that has like they come and loosen up the dirt so in case the kids come down the slide and overshoot it. So I didn't get
you gotta
hurt. I
have
just
a
got dirty.
backup. You gotta have a backup favorite hoodie. Like
I
that's a
I do
requirement.
I do, but remember I'm half in one city, half in another
I
city,
know.
and I keep forgetting where certain stuff is. Like I went looking for a pair of glasses today, and I was like, I know where those glasses. Like because I thought that I had it with me. And I was informed today that a cookie, a handmade, delicious cookie that was gifted to me, I accidentally left it up there too.
And you know it's gonna be eaten by the time you get
Oh,
home.
he told me it was going to be eaten. He told me.
He's like, I'm just letting you know that cookie. It had to go,
But I
dog. It
couldn't
had to
be
go.
mad because I took it because I wasn't supposed to even come back at this time. I got an ICE notification that I had to report for some stuff. But I took his leftovers, so it's fair. Actually, I think I'm winning with that one because I took his leftovers to eat on the train back.
I'd say you're winning. I'd say you're winning. It did turn surprisingly colder here in Tennessee. Um, it was definitely I woke up one morning because it's the time of year that I like to sleep with my safety window portion cracked, right? Like the portion
Mm-hmm.
that they say is safe enough to leave open at night so people can't. I like to sleep because I'm a fresh air kind of girly. And it was not it was not. I woke up looking like Jack Frost. It was not pleasant.
Well, I
I
knew
was not
something
a
was wrong
fan.
here in Kentucky when my dad called and was like, I think I'll just teach this Sunday and you don't cross the bridge. And I was like, why? He's like, there's a frost warning. Hmm, I'll just,
I'll just hang.
I, I'll stay in the house. Okay. I won't, I won't show up this time. But I don't, plus, I think between the frost warning and him getting tired of literally sitting me in the corner every Sunday, that might have played a part in it too.
I mean, if you can't behave, Taz.
I can behave. People need to leave me alone. If they
Again, I
ask me a
say if you
question,
can't behave, okay.
I
It's
stopped putting the
almost as
black
bad.
bath bombs in the baptismal pool. That's progress.
Listen, I had a friend who literally told me that whenever her child gets baptized, she's going to put the black bath bombs in the pockets of her
Oh
spandex that she wears underneath the
no,
little
tell her
rope
to
that they
crush it up.
so that it
Tell her to
goes off
crush it up.
faster. Yeah. I
Not
told her
only
that
that, it'll bubble.
I thought maybe she needed to mix a little red in there too, just
No,
to
you
give
won't.
it
You won't see
some.
the red. I won't say how I know, but you won't see the red. But if you crush it up and like put some like take like crush some up really really fine and like rub it on the inside like if she wears any pants like to walk in so that as it goes in like it just gets more and more going up allegedly that will freak people out allegedly
Allegedly. I can neither
and
confirm nor deny whether or not I have factual proof of that.
Mitch McConnell you
I
sent the
want to know
cease and
how the crypt keeper from Tales from the Crypt has managed to stay in, him and Nancy
I don't know
Pelosi,
because I've been
all
working hard. I was gonna
inspiring,
say Mitch you
all
sent the
inspiring.
cease and desist to the wrong address so it don't count. You're
Hey, if
still
you
getting
haven't
frogs
received it,
sir. Like,
And
we
what
all
about
know
this
I'm the one that's
bunker?
sending you frogs. We all know that I'm the one sending you frogs. So
I
I'm not
want to
going to
see
stop.
somebody send him. I want to see somebody send him turtles. I want to see somebody send him the turtle shirt that the guy who has been all over Cash Patel's butt, calling him
Of a
the Valhalla turtle.
cash,
Ka-
cash,
Kaship
patel.
Kaship Patel. I love that guy.
Turtle, turtle, turtle man Patel.
Turtle man.
Yeah, no, allegedly someone late last year sent him a turtle um with a mini Mitch McConnell mask on it. Allegedly, said turtle was put into his mailbox in Kentucky. Allegedly, so I've
Allegedly.
heard. Allegedly.
That's a wild tale. That's a wild tale. So I made a video last week that apparently was not pleasant for the MAGA fights, discussing the destruction of the East Wing. And this was still during, or maybe it was the week before, it was still during the period where they were just tearing down the facade, right? Like where we saw those very dramatic photos of the initial teardown of the portico there, right? And I said in that video at that time that he was going to tear the whole thing down. Like the whole
Mm-hmm.
thing was going to go. Um and that was just based on, cuz those renderings that they produced popped up before he introduced them, for those of us who were interested enough to go looking for them, right? And I saw it and I said he's going to demolish the entire east side of the White House. And initially, my thought process was there is something in that wing, in those office spaces, in those, in the Lincoln bedroom, something that they are trying to cover up.
It's
And
not
that
so
was,
much trying to cover it up. When Melania Trump never gave the traditional tour and it took so long, she didn't really move in until Barron got kicked out of college.
well, and
I
she's
knew
still not
something was
really
up.
moved in.
Right. I knew something was up, but it's more on from the Caroline Leavitt press briefing after his second appointment at Walter Reed. Listening to that, that man has 5 to 7 business months left on this earth.
If
He is
that.
trying to tick off his legacy bucket list because white male politicians know one thing above all: it's not about what you actually do in life, it's what you leave for the history books to pick up.
What you left your
So
name on.
it's a twofold thing. He believes that anytime somebody sees the White House, they still see Barack Obama. That's why the basketball slash tennis court that Barack Obama and the Obama family paid for by themselves, he destroyed that. He uprooted that. And let's not forget, he has a disdain. He has uber, super, super duper mommy issues because the only reason the Trump family ever turned a profit was because of the women in the family and their business
Yep.
prowess. But he's also beholden to tech. What's going on the East Wing, he's not really going to be able to benefit from.
Mm-mm.
Those that he is beholden to will benefit from. Just like the stipend that came to help pay for the troops. Yeah, that money, it sounds like a big amount, but when you do the math, it averages out to, after taxes, about $96 per service person that it would help. And that's only if they kick out multiple people all of a
It's
sudden.
literally just for show.
This would this would give a way to move all of those servers from Musk that need to be worked on, that have zero firewalls. Don't ask how I know, I just do.
You
Out
mean all
of
the
the
data
potential
that
agencies.
Doge
Yeah,
mined while they were here. Let's not forget
they
that.
were there. Those servers are still there. This gives them a way to be able to upgrade, firewall protect, and move those servers to a place that is better. The people that are donating to this don't donate for nothing. And what they donated for the inauguration, that was a down payment.
Hmm.
That was a down payment. The moves that are being made right now, it is very clear that Trump is being manipulated more than he has been before. No, I'm not a Trump sympathizer at all. This man isn't, he's not going to make it.
I
What's
think we've
being
known
set
for a
up?
long time that people are feeding him. I think, and honestly, like if I'm going to tin hat out, I think the reason we see so much crazy stuff come out of his mouth, stuff that is just in direct contravention to what we know as fact, is because he's not actually with reality. Most of what he is taking in right now has been created by the people who are puppeting him.
Yeah,
And
he's
so
never
he
been with
does believe that
reality.
stuff.
They're pulling stuff from years gone past, the years that he felt that he was doing the best. If you listen to what is being said to him and what he's regurgitating, they're pulling things from the years that he thinks that he was the best. When he was like, "Oh, I gotta sign this executive order for flag burning," that's where it's coming from. So these are not things that we're going to benefit from. And I also think, and this is my little conspiracy theory, that there's going to be a little mausoleum, just like in Westminster Abbey down there. That man does not want his body to leave that premises. He doesn't. And he has an obsession with being a king. He really does. But what's being set up and what everybody is being distracted from is who's being groomed to be the next leader of whatever the next faction within the Republican Party will be. Because
What do
just
you,
as quickly as MAGA came, is just as quickly as we forgot about the Tea Party.
What do you think of the conspiracy rumor that Usha is going to divorce Vance and he's going to start dating Erica?
He's not going to date Erica Kirk. Erica Kirk never wanted a husband, and looking at her past and her history, she never
I
wanted
think
one.
I don't
She
think
she
she
never
wants
wanted one.
men. Yeah, I don't think she wants men.
Yeah, she did what she had to do for the sake of
Secure her
movers and
future.
shakers and checks, because you're gonna tell me they just happened to meet on a trip to Israel and they just fell in love. Now, I'm not saying, I'm not going by looks. Beauty and the Beast is a real thing, and that happens every day in life. And some people, they have facial blindness, so they can't tell if somebody's attractive or not. But her to finally look happy and be relieved, she's not going to get with somebody, especially not a JD Vance. Usha, JD Vance is not a good actor.
No, he's
People
not.
keep saying that Usha Vance doesn't know that she's a brown woman. Yes, she does. Check her record. And they're saying, oh, she signed up for this pack. No, she didn't. That's why she's graying rapidly. I believe she truly loves her husband. And I think this is why they never moved in to the vice president residency. Who JD Vance is for real, we may never know, but it's not who he's portraying right now. He is very power hungry, but I don't believe that they're headed for divorce. If they are plausibly going to get a divorce, it would be because he finally swallowed the red pill and finally found an identity, and that identity was toxic. But the fact that they're still living out of the house in East Walnut Hill, Cincinnati, Ohio, that tells me no, he's faking it, and he's faking it horribly,
I really think,
horribly.
honestly, there could be just, I'm not discounting it from the realm of possibilities that he's a sleeper and a complete plot twist if he comes into power. Because he spent, I can't help but look back at Trump's first term and everything he had to say. The famous "I'm a never Trump guy," statement and all of that. And looking at the things he signed his name to, the things that he supported that were making their way through Congress and things like that. I can't completely discount the possibility
But
that
here's the
if
thing:
Trump goes,
JD Vance, and Melania Trump, they want power and money off of the back of Trump, but they don't like him. JD Vance has publicly jumped the gun and said things contradictory to Trump. With the whole Wall Street Journal debacle,
mhm,
JD Vance snuck out to go meet with Rupert Murdoch.
which was
When,
huge.
yeah, when Trump dies, because Trump is MAGA, MAGA is Trump. That this isn't going to be like Scientology. You're not going to just keep get
Right.
Mm-mm.
It's not going to keep going.
You're
Once
going to
Trump
get
goes, you're going to
people
see.
you're going to get people like Vance that are going to be like, oh, well, he forced me or I was forced. They're going to play the victim to keep the power that they got. But JD Vance, as much as he tries to posture and pretend like he wants to be president, he doesn't. As wide open as the race was in the GOP for this past race to POTUS Mountain, he didn't throw his hat in there. He sat back, befriended Donnie Jr. to get into where he was. Vance has told us why he's in the position that he's in. If he had aspirations for the presidency, he would be in DC all the time in all the meetings everywhere. He's not. He's there for us, the American people, to pay for him and his wife to finally vacation in all 50 states. He said it. He has a bucket list and he realizes, hey, he doesn't have the personality, he doesn't have the skill set, he doesn't have the intellect to really hold down a job that would give him the discretionary income to do these things. This is what he's doing. He has not showed up for a day of actual work. He's there for photo ops. He's there to make it look good. And then he's back on vacation. He's back at home doing the same things he's always done. He doesn't want to really be president. If he happens upon it, he'll play the role, but that's not really what he wants. He's living out his dreams and living his best life. And because he's from Middletown, Ohio, that's like the high school football quarterback that took the high school to state and nationals 4 years in a row. He can ride that way till the day he dies. He can ride it to the day because it's disgraced as Pete Rose was in Cincinnati, Ohio. Pete Rose could go anywhere and people still treated him like a celebrity. That's all JD needed. JD is an awkward boy that grew into an awkward man that just wanted friends, just wanted notoriety. He got it.
He's like the kid that doesn't understand the difference between good attention and bad attention, as long as it's attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
and for anybody that's willing to not just lie on their mother, but lie on their grandparents and lie on their entire city, I don't put anything past them. Because when people were like, oh, well, I'm from Middletown and that is what happened, baby. Boo boo. I've been up and through Middletown way too many times. I'm going to need y'all to stop acting like y'all poor, like y'all broke.
Right, right, right. Well, I can't get past hoping. Like, here's the thing. It's not about the ballroom. The ballroom is auxiliary. It is
I still
collateral
don't think we're going to
damage.
get a
I
ballroom.
don't think
We'll
we're
get
either. I
something, but
I
it won't
said
be a
on Friday
ballroom.
fuckery, I said, I gave my prediction. We're going to see maybe a foundation be laid or something like that, but it's never going to get built. What's going to happen is the American taxpayers in about 5 years are going to have to come up out of pocket yet again to pay to rebuild the East Wing the way it was and just update
Oh,
it.
I don't think we're going to get a foundation. Let's go back to how Trump made his grand debut into real estate in New York, which was tick number one as to why New Yorkers, not the implants, but New Yorkers don't like Trump. Convinced his father to buy something, a landmark that was sacred to New Yorkers, imploded it, and then sold the debris to people. To do what? To try to rebuild it again. He will, because I saw somebody joking and I was like, this ain't a joke. He will sell the bricks, he will sell the demolished remnants of the East
Well, did
Wing
you
to
see that
people.
they're dumping it in that public golf course to
Mm-hmm.
create hills?
But
And
here's the thing, he will recreate, he will have them rebuild the East Wing bar for bar, word for word, brick for brick, and nothing will be different. Nothing will be different because let's face it, we're coming up on the end of the year. At the beginning of 2026, what starts to happen? There are a lot of international and national events that take place at the White House. There's only one public entrance. You just got rid of it. And he's
yep.
going to be like, oh shit. He's not got the correspondence dinner. All of these different things. What you going to do? These are your belle of the ball moments. And because he couldn't have his grand inauguration and his inaugural ball and then his off year big birthday parade. He needs that splash. He is going to rebuild it
I'll tell
back
you
up.
what
The
he's gonna
only thing
do.
he's going to do is slap his name on it. He's going to find a way to try to have the Trump name put it not on a placard, because he still remembers when his name was removed from multiple buildings across the United States. He's going to try to have them build his name into there, and he keeps forgetting we will control alt
We'll
delete
chisel that.
anything
We'll
in real
chisel
life.
that. Listen, I know what he's going to do for all of the events that come up in the November to February event season for the White House. He's going to do them all at Mar-a-Lago, and he's going to make us pay for all of those people to stay there, for all of those people to travel there, for the use of Mar-a-Lago's ballroom, and he's going to pocket even more money from the taxpayers through his business.
You know what? I thought Mar-a-Lago, but then I realized this time around he's not referring to Mar-a-Lago as the Winter White House. And Marla Maples is down at Mar-a-Lago playing First Lady of Mar-a-Lago. He needs to go ahead and set Melania free, because Marla always wanted to be First Lady. But his new favorite golf course right now, his new favorite Trump resort is Bedminster. That's where he's going to
You're
take them.
not wrong.
Plus, Bedminster is close enough to NYC, because remember, he still wants to break into being a socialite, those socialite circles in New York City. It's close enough that he's like, well, maybe this family will come and maybe they're not coming, Donald. They're not coming.
He tried so hard to be part of that socialite circle whenever he was doing everything with Epstein, and he never got in because even the shittiest of the shitty, the one percenters, recognized that we shouldn't be around those people. They divided up into circles, and granted, the good one percenters was a very tiny circle. It was still the names that either they were doing it and they were better at hiding it. They weren't so brazen about exposing their little intricacies, or whatever it may be. They treated those people like
Well,
they were
here's the
new
thing.
money.
This is why he was so close to Ghislaine. Ghislaine Maxwell is an international socialite. Now, her creepy ass daddy, apple don't fall far from that tree. Because the only reason he escaped accountability is because he got on his yacht, went out into the middle of international waters, and offed himself. But this is
Yep.
why he held on to her. This is why after he banished Epstein from Mar-a-Lago, he kept Maxwell around. This is why he's being so cushy to Maxwell now. It's not because he's afraid she's going to say something. She's had plenty of time to say something. No. I think people forget that just like Capone and other people, you can keep a business running from behind bars. Hello, should night. That woman is still moving and shaking from behind bars. She wasn't a victim. She wasn't a co-conspirator. She is the mastermind. She's the madam. She's the one that came in with the money and the contacts and everything else.
He's the
But
Heidi Slice.
also, Trump is too awkward. See, they kind of let him in a little bit when he was with Ivana. Then he got butthurt because they were like, yeah, Ivana, we've been wanting you the whole time. Come on over here and party with us. But he's awkward. And to try to compensate for his awkwardness, because he's one of the original screen babies. Screen time with babies didn't start with iPads. It started with the television. Um,
Yep.
his whole life is based on that. That's why I jokingly call him Fredo. He just never watched the end of the trilogy. He thinks that he's Fredo from The Godfather, but he didn't watch it all the way through. He has a short attention span. So this is how he's living his life. He truly thinks. And I need people to remember, he didn't grow up rich. He didn't grow up with a silver spoon in his mouth. This is why his suits aren't tailored, and he's cosplaying what he thinks wealth is and what he thinks wealth looks like.
Well, and there's a reason why Fred didn't invest in Donald. Why Fred was more focused, on the other. Because here's the thing, people forget that Donald was not the favorite. Donald only got a small part of the inheritance, but it was enough to bail him out. And he got damn lucky because Ivanka came out of college and she was like, I got this, Dad. Everybody
Oh,
thinks
it's
he's
not
this
even
brilliant
that. It's
businessman.
it's worse. It's worse than that. Okay. The only reason that Fred Sr. started to attach himself to Donald is because Fred Sr. had crippling anxiety and couldn't publicly speak. And he thought by looking at Donald and his ease with, because he was a slumlord to everybody in his family. But it
Right.
wasn't a small bailout. Trump stole everything from everybody else in his family to climb to the top. He was supposed to inherit a
I'd agree with
small
that.
fraction of
Yep.
dividends from Mary Trump and Sons. He stole and sued to get control, and then he changed the name to the Trump Organization because it was Grandmama that started putting rental properties and laundromats on the land, the grandpapa who died of pneumonia. Yes, what Trump made fun of Hillary Rodham Clinton for having, she was like, yeah, we need some income coming in. There are stories coming out of New York that this woman used to pull up till she died, collecting the money from the laundromats herself, which, hey, I don't blame her. And he was like, yeah. And then Trump wanted to be more than a borough developer, where there's nothing wrong with being a borough developer.
Right. He resented his father for not doing more. He wanted to be bigger. His father, like people discount the fact of how rich Fred Trump got while still living, you know, for all intents and purposes, a fairly modest life. But again, that was because mama was in the picture and was controlling things, right? But
Because
how
she
many
said, because
times?
she knew what it was like to be completely destitute
Mhm.
and and literally have to build a house for your kids to live in. Because a lot of people forget, you could go to the store, you go to the general store, go to store Sears and Roebuck and get a house kit, put it on some land and build it.
Right.
And also Fred was about security and not flashiness, but Trump wanted to crush
He
Leona.
wanted to be the most popular person. The reality is,
He
we are where we
It
are
wasn't the most
because
popular
there's a bunch
person.
of men who wanted to just be that notoriety,
Yeah, but it
that
wasn't that he
looked
wanted
up
to be the
to.
most popular. He wanted to put Leona Hemsworth in her place because she was the mistress that climbed to the top. Now, was she unscrupulous? Was she evil? Was she diabolical? All yes. Two things can be true at one time. Was
Correct.
she also one hell of a real estate developer? Yes. Do I wish she was a better person so I could speak publicly about the shit that she actually did? Because it was beautiful. It's gorgeous. It stands to this day. Absolutely. The historian in me would love to, in my women's series,
But you can't
include her. But
justify it with your moral
she
code.
so this is a woman who said fuck everybody when she died and left everything to her damn dog. Do you know how I would have flipped my mama's casket over? At the funeral, like, bitch, what? It's going to the huh? And who's left to take care of the what? Oh, stop the singing. Stop. You know what, Pastor? Go ahead and leave. Go ahead and leave. Y'all, you stay if you want to see this shit. What you about? I'm flipping this shit over. I don't care if she fit in the cast. I don't give a fuck if she fit in the hole at this point. Just, you know what? I changed my mind. Don't bury her. Cremate her. What you gonna do with the ashes? Flush them. She getting what the fuck? But he wanted to beat Leona. When you look at his trajectory and everything that he was bidding on and what he was lying about, where he had property at, where he wanted to get land to develop, where he was greasing the palms of politicians to get it, he was competing with Leona. He has a disdain for women because in his mind, through watching TV, and not watching his actual family, because all up and through his family, it has been the women doing the damn thing. He's looking at TV and getting this Captain Caveman that he has disdain. He's constantly trying to put a woman in her place, or because I'm pretty sure y'all don't know this, he's trying to tell them how to be. Because did y'all know that little Mr. Trump knows the exact dye color numbers for the different types of blondes that he thinks looks good on women, and he'll tell them, hey, you should go to the salon and get, and he'll say the dye color number.
And
and,
this is
and
what I don't understand about this man. How is it that you are so detailed, organized, and prolific when it comes to your misogyny? But when it comes to being able to, like, listen, People say he's stupid. He's not stupid. He's willfully fucking ignorant. Okay?
Well,
Because
he
if you
is a
look at
little
him when it
stupid.
comes, I mean, he is a little stupid. But
Because he's never done any work for himself. And what I mean, no work for himself, he's never done his homework, his classwork, anything else. And he is still stunted by the
he is
young
one of the
lady,
few, he is a prime example of what it
in
looks like to
primary
buy
school.
your education.
Yeah. Because the young lady in primary school that he tried to touch inappropriately and she put that wop bop a loop bop a wop bam boom down on him, he been feeling that ever since. Yes, Trump got beat up by a girl in primary school. Trump was
Mm-hmm.
so horrible at being a bully. That's the only reason he ended up in private school. It wasn't because his family was raising him in a rich or wealthy lifestyle. No,
Oh, his
his
mom
father was
wanted
still
him to go to
teaching.
public school.
Yeah, his family uh would go to prosperity preachers because they wanted sustainability. See, a lot of these one percenter families historically, they're afraid of becoming poor. But let me explain to y'all what they think poor is. They think poor is being a thousandaire, that they have created mental illness in their family. Like they have, their trauma has changed their DNA horrifically.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not forget the DuPont heir that died because he was a hoarder. He was afraid to let anything go. He was afraid that if his bank account dipped down past something, he needed to have something in his house that he could sell to get it back up. They terrified themselves, but
Well, and
they
that's why you
also
saw
don't
Trump.
live that way.
That's why you saw Trump say, he's famously known for saying, 400,000 is middle class, right? 400,000. Because when you look at the one percenters, they look at people who are living in these $1 million houses. It's a $1 million house. It's a $900,000 house. It's three-quarters of $1 million house. They look at them and they see them the same as you and I. They see them the
Well,
same as
they
the people
also
going to the food
control the
bank.
market. They also control the market and they control the pricing. You have to look at real estate, how they look at art. Because when they price art, it has nothing to do with anything. They just look at it and go, this should be costing $1 million.
That's
This
disgusting,
is why you
Tracina.
now have a house that has one bedroom, that has 4 rooms in it. Okay, four full rooms. And they're like, yeah, that's a $750,000 house. They drive up the cost to make
Hmm.
their stuff look
Between them
way
and
better than
corporations.
what it is. And I need a lot of people to realize, y'all do realize MTV Cribs, people have come out and said, hey, we rented this, we rented that.
Right,
We're
they rented
finding
that
out
house for the filming.
that social media influencers, nobody's living in these lavish houses. These people are living no different than you and me. The reason why housing is so expensive now is because the top 1% needs to make you think that it's unattainable. I need y'all to put your thinking caps on. How much can plaster, concrete, blacktop, and wood cost? Because that's what it takes to create a house. That's what it takes to create a house.
Well, and you couple that with the fact that these corporations are buying them up. Just the other night I was talking about it. When we sold the house in Florida, less than 24 hours after we put that house up, we got an offer at asking price. It was coming from a corporation in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
They were purchasing the house so that they could rent it out. Now, little did they realize that we were up and out of there like 2 days before that hurricane hit that flooded out the entire Midland of Florida, the entire middle part of the peninsula, which is where we lived too. So they had 3 feet of water and we had already gotten the check. Have fun with that.
Yeah,
And
because it's like you have to realize what controls the market. And real quick, because I'm tired of people having a bleeding heart for them. Can y'all stop acting like farmers are poor people and stupid people? They're not.
thank you. If they can
Because just
afford to
like the
spend
man,
$600,000 on a tractor, they're not
well,
poor.
not only that, they like to sit in their F-350s and spin your tail, like the gentleman that was like, if they do this, I'm going to lose my farm. Put a pin in it. Because just a couple weeks ago, he was like, well, now I think I'm going to have to sell my cattle that's worth X amount of millions of dollars or give up one of my rental properties. They're not broke. Farmers have never been poor people. To get into farming alone you got to have some seed money. You got to have a lot of money. And on top of that,
Or you have to
farmers
inherit a
are the
family
most
farm.
diversified people on the planet. They have multiple businesses going at one time. What Trump did, what the deal with Argentinian beef did not hurt farmers. It helped because their pricing is by demand. They're raking in more money. They're out here just invoking emotion in everybody so that they can keep lining their pockets. Because I'm going to tell you this, as a business owner, if I felt like I was about to lose revenue, you want to know the one thing you're not going to see from me on social media all day, every day. I need to go look at my investments, talk to my accountant, see where I can get things. Because during lockdown, working in IT and being an IT consultant, I did lose some clients. And I also lost some because, well, they put a pause on their contract because of Trump's tariffs and what I was handling for them. I'm not going to get online and tell you guys, oh my God, I'm going to lose my business, because that's not true. Were
Not
there some slim
productive.
days? Yes, there were some slim days because I don't have cattle that I can just take down to the market
And sell
and
off,
sell
right?
automatically. But I do have options. I can diversify. And the fact that now they've added you increasing their numbers and monetizing them on social media, when they give you a sob story, yeah, once again, the rich are manipulating you into fighting for them and not for yourself. You all are
Right.
out here condemning people who actually need assistance and telling them to go do work, talking about, well, you can't get rich by being lazy, but you're making the rich rich and you're allowing them to be lazy. You're doing free labor for people who have the funds and means to pay for labor. Farmers, there's no way to be a farmer and be broke. And if you think I'm joking, look at Ballerina Farms. Y'all were willing to go rescue that woman, and she said she wasn't leaving. Y'all said she's not a trad wife. She got a job, convincing y'all to fight for her on a $1 million farm that
Mm-hmm.
her in-laws gifted her. So please,
Mm-hmm.
to get a small
Here's the
farm,
thing.
you're going to
I'm
need hundreds
listening.
of thousands of dollars.
Listen, because the bottom line is this. Being in Iowa, I know this to be true, having been in Iowa, right? Like I lived there for 10 years. I knew people who were farmers. And even if by some weird situation their crops go to waste and they are just hurting to make that mortgage payment, the government's going to come in because now we have to feed ourselves. At this point, we have to feed ourselves.
It's not
The
even the
government's going
government.
to come in.
Farmers,
They're going to rent out. I can't tell you how much of Iowa I drove through where it was literally fields upon fields upon fields where the farmer was not
yeah, but
growing
it's
their
not
own
even the
crops.
farmers that are going to bail them out. Farmers are connected to the 1%. They have wealthy friends with connections that will be like, oh, don't even worry about that. What you need for the year, I got you. I'll pay them. These are the people that they're surrounded with. And one thing for certain, two things for sure. If you befriend a wealthy person and people believe that you're wealthy, even if you're just at the status of rich, because there's a difference between rich and wealthy, to keep up appearances for themselves, they'll pay to keep you afloat.
Mm-hmm.
They will pay to keep you afloat because you will look bad on them. And this is why a lot of farmers are associated with, if you start digging into these farmers that are telling you like, oh my God, I'm going to lose everything. I didn't vote for this. Yes, you did vote for it because you knew what you were going to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Each time the farmers are bailed out, it's not by a chunk of change. You have to think, why are we as a government, as a country, okay with having subsidies to pay for the basic necessities of farms in the United States, but teaching our citizens to hate giving people access to the basic necessities to survive? Because why am I paying for the fencing on your farm that you decided to start? If I,
Right.
Taz J, decides, you know what, I'm finally I'm gonna open up a comic book store. How would y'all feel if the government was like, you know what? We're gonna give you a subsidy to go get the comic books. Like y'all would rightfully so start a riot. Why haven't you started a riot over the farmers that keep lying to you? And before you go, well, task farm aid is a drop in the bucket, and it's a drop in the bucket as to what they can donate because who gets paid to perform? If you think them people are showing up out of the kindness of their heart, these are the same people who lie to you and tell you that they grew up poor and that they didn't know wealth until you started buying their albums.
Listen, those farmers are making money hand over fist because they get the subsidies from the government and then they sell 60% of their crops to the government for the purposes of food banks and food assistance.
Yeah,
And
if they were
then
pissed off,
once
they would have stopped Trump from shutting down USAID.
hmm And then once they have sold that to them, their portion is complete. Now it moves on to the consumer side where it goes into those corporate people who are giving millions upon millions upon millions of dollars right now to Trump. He is literally creating a cycle where every single dime of government money stays within his pocket.
Well, that's how it's always been. The Trump family have always been welfare queens.
Oh, they've
They've
always been.
learned
They are one of the
they've learned how
biggest.
to brand and slap their name on Section 8 properties. See, we call it Section 8 when somebody is below the top percentile. When it's not, then, oh, it's a bailout. A bailout is a subsidy, which is Section 8.
Right.
Y'all are
And here's the
harping
thing
over
that blows my mind.
$30. You're harping over $30 that comes out of your check, and $30 if you make over a
And
thousand
that's
dollars.
$30 a year.
And that if you make over $1,000 every 2 weeks, that's $30. If you make less than that, it's not even that. You're concerned about that going so somebody can eat, but you're not worried about the 700 and something that's going to bailouts. And
Well,
for
and this
those of
is
y'all
what
that are like, oh, well, I don't feel like they should be able to buy this. Let me explain something to you. A subsidy is a subsidy is subsidy. If we're friends and you're like, hey, girl, um, can I borrow $100? Once I give you that $100, how would you feel if I nitpicked on how you spent that $100?
right. $100 that you don't expect back because that's what a subsidy is. You already know you're not getting your money back. It's supposed to come back in services, but we're creating this vicious cycle. And it's like people often forget. Yeah, everybody likes to talk about the fact that he has filed bankruptcy 6 times, and he has filed bankruptcy 6 times. I cannot fathom how anybody can bankrupt not one, but multiple casinos when literally the odds are always in the house's favor. But what we often forget is we don't include the dozen or so times that Fred Trump bailed him out so he didn't have to file bankruptcy. We are literally letting somebody who has yet to ever properly manage his money without the assistance of other people who know what
Oh
they're
no, the
doing.
sad part is he still had to file bankruptcy after being bailed out. That's the sad
Right.
part.
That is the sad
And he
part.
bankrupted a whole city. Let us not forget. Hashtag Atlantic City.
You're not wrong there either.
Like, how do you bankrupt a whole city and people are like, yeah, let him run the country? Look.
I mean, honestly, if I ride with you and you ping pong your ass down the road, bouncing off of cars, and then we're getting ready to go somewhere, I'm not going to toss the keys to my brand new Mercedes into your hands and say, hey, girl, why don't you do the rolling while I do the rolling? Right? Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be like, nah, bitch, backseat and hold your breath the whole time. you know
Mm-hmm.
like I don't understand this. Why on earth, if you know they can't do something, and we all know that the only reason that the Trump empire grew is because he finally grew into what he was good at, but he rarely ever applies, which is literally him being able to pick the right people to do the job. Now the
Mm-mm.
one
No,
thing
he's not even good at that. How he was able to sustain himself, Trump is good at branding and marketing. He is. He should
he
leave
is very good
everything
at that.
alone. He is good at branding and marketing. He's not good at picking the right people. He's not. That's why we've seen his demise. This is why he's been caught up in so many things. He's not. He ain't.
See, I would respectfully disagree with you there because I know that he really started to take off once he started getting some different accountants into play. And he is famously known for then trashing those accountants primarily because, well, he hated them because they were Jewish. Like we all know that, right? But I
Yeah,
think
but
the
the
reason he
staff that
really
worked
hated
best from
them.
him came from Ivana vetting them.
You're absolutely right. I don't disagree with you there.
Ivana vetted them. He's not good at picking people because he chooses people based on loyalty because, once again, he learned how to interact with people through television, which is not a reality.
No, it's not. Well, and he so desperately wanted, like, we probably could have avoided all of this if somebody had just put him in a blockbuster movie. If they
It's
had
not
just,
even that. It's not even that. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. There's a convergence, and there's a reason why there's such an attachment to Trump. Racist individuals are not good with money. So
no,
when
they're
they
not.
see Trump not be good with money, not be smart, they can live vicariously through them. This is they racist white people live as if they're going to wake up tomorrow and be wealthy and all their problems are going to be okay. But they live trying to mimic what they think wealth is. They're horrible with money and they're looking at somebody who is just like them that has made it to the pinnacle. So they're holding on. This is why they're willing to lie for him. See, he never lied to them. They have been lying for him. It's no different than the Taylor Swift fandom. Some people, not a fan of either one of them, Trump or Taylor Swift. But I do have to say this: a lot of things people attribute to the both of them, they never said or did. Their fans did. They
Mhm.
lied to protect them. And he is the quintessential I'm piss poor, I make bad decisions, but I assume that I am supposed to have success because of the skin I'm encased in. And he is their wet dream. He is their confirmation bias. I don't have to be good with money. I don't have to be good in school. I told y'all I didn't need the good grades. I told you I didn't need to be a good worker that shows up every day and does the work. Look, I am him, and he's president now twice.
Right. Well, it's when the knockoff market really took off, like I know you and I are in the same age group. So we remember back in the 90s when everybody was buying all of the Folexes, and the Dooney and Burke knockoffs and everything, like the purses really started to come into it, right? And all of that stuff, at least in our society, because it already been there in Europe. People were paying more attention to like Fashion Week and things like that, right? Like we were moving into our Hunger Games capital era, right? And people saw these opportunities. It was also the introduction of reality TV whenever we saw celebrities in their native environment. We saw their big houses from the inside instead of just seeing them from people's, you know, VHS, shows of their Hollywood tour. We started
We
seeing the
got the
things they got to
fakeness of
do.
the inside of their house because we had the reality with Mary Hart on Entertainment Tonight, and we had it
Mhm.
with Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. It's
Lifestyles of
when
the rich and
people,
famous.
it was the precursor of the influencer lifestyle where people were faking it, trying to make it.
Right. And everybody had the opportunity to escape into their TV and live in that fantasy world, to see those images and close their eyes and imagine what it would be like to cook Sunday dinner in that kitchen and to go swim in that lap pool and to go lay in that bed. And these people sell these bullshit stories of, I came from nothing and, fortune smiled on me. They neglect, because they don't really have the time in the 47 minutes allotted to them for that 1 hour show, to explain the amount of money, the bankruptcy that their parents went into to try and get them that fame. Because people don't realize that those self-made stories, those, diamond in the rough stars, the American Idols, the Voice people, they don't realize how few that is. of the
Well, not only
actual.
that, it's not even about bankruptcy. They've been, first of all, people have been selling a lie since people have been coming to the United States. They've been selling it. Um, when we were moving into the late 80s, early 1990s, what made it different and what makes it different now is because they can put visuals to it. Before they were just describing it.
It
You
was in a
had to
magazine. It was in a
you
magazine.
had to you went through, okay, you're hearing it like listening to a radio show where your imagination is in there, your imagination is running wild, but you haven't really experienced wealth, so it's not really giving you the full envy thing. Then magazines came and you're like, oh my god, I never knew anything about this, I never. And then TV, and then they really started to bring it home. But a lot of these people, their families weren't going bankrupt, they lied. Like Ariana Grande, Taylor Swift, Kid Rock, they never grew up poor. They never did. Just like Drake. It,
Right.
it wasn't no started from the bottom, now we're here. They started from the middle, now they're here. And they keep selling it, just like our politicians that are like, yeah, I'm down home, I'm Christian, look at my guns, I'm just like you. And the thing about it is, let's say it how it is. The United States people know that they're being lied to. And this is why I say this, because if you truly believe that these people were down home average just like you, why is AOC catching such flack for being a
Right.
bartender? Why are so
Right.
many people that are like, you know what, I want to make a change, and I was a school teacher, but now I'm doing this? They're catching flack. You know you're being lied to, but you like the lie. You like people who
You're
cosplay being
comfortable in the
poor
lie.
doing
You
it.
are
You
comfortable with
don't
it.
like being poor because you still see yourself as rich, because you allow your biases that are dripping in white supremacy, that you don't want to admit are dripping in white supremacy, to give you a faux moral superiority over everybody else. And that's what causes you to vote against your best interest and keep us all trapped in a Groundhog Day that has the lid on the crab bucket that you picked us all up and placed us in. And you think you're sitting outside the bucket, but really you're the one with the broken leg sitting in the middle of the crab bucket looking at the rest of us like, I hope somebody pulled them down, because since I broke my own legs, they can't leave this bucket either.
Well, and it's the slow and steady decline because if you really think about it, it is an entire sect of people who are literally living in a fantasy world because the fantasy world is more comfortable. That is why VR has taken off so much. That is why AI has taken off so much. That's why we've seen those studies that they've done on gamers, and those gamers, these male incels and whatever, they're dressing up as these women with big boobs and tiny waists and big asses, not because they think that they're better characters, because for a moment, they get to be near something that they envision as what they want, as what they deserve, as what they want to be with. It's the same reason why when the VR headsets came out and you could literally sit down in like a chair that has like 4D motion with this VR headset on and live in this fantasy realm. That's what they wanted to do. That's why you see all of these people who can barely pay the rent on their trailer. But you know what? They got a $500 Meta Quest 3 or whatever the hell it is. Because when they come home at night to escape the fact that they live in that 1982 single wide, driving their 1975 Pinto, they put on that headset and they go off to their Roman Colosseum or to their Hollywood mansion with their Barbie doll wife, or their Ken doll husband. And they slip off into that fantasy world until it's time for them to get up and go to their work-a-day, paycheck to paycheck job the next day.
Well, not only that, a lot of people view what wealth looks like according to movies. I'm going to tell y'all, that's not what wealth looks like.
Mm-mm.
Slapping a bunch of logos onto something or having this type of shoe or living in this neighborhood is not what wealth looks like. You have probably had an extremely wealthy neighbor and did not know it. Because
Mm-hmm.
those that are truly wealthy, they are the most penny pinching, looking for a deal motherfuckers you've ever seen in your life. that
My
you
grandmother died
and
with millions to her name, and she lived in the same house the whole time I was growing up. She didn't move out of that house until she could no longer care for herself. It is a house that my grandparents bought. It was on the corner. It was considered a nicer piece of property for the area that we grew up in. But that house was 3 bedrooms, pier and beam. At most, it cost them $60,000 to build it. When my grandmother died, she died with millions.
if you want to know
Millions.
about old money, people with old money get the most excited about discount stores. A discount.
Oh,
These are the
yeah.
people that will get excited about
They're
going
the
to
ones
Five
that
Below.
wash their paper towels and then hang them to
These
dry.
and it's not even that. They get excited over the little things because so many people are trying to throw at them so many different things, and nobody pays attention to who they are and what they like. And generally what they like is sentimental. And if you notice, the most sentimental things cost the least financially. They cost the most in energy and effort because you may need to drive around, to get it. But you have a bunch of people trying to cosplay and look what Hollywood has sold everybody as to what wealthy looks like. You would not know wealthy when walking down the street. This is why I chuckle when people make fun of like Adam Sandler. And they're like, for all the money he has, he dresses like that.
He's comfortable.
I can tell you right now, that man on any given day is dripping in Purple Label. And you don't know what Purple Label is or what Purple Label looks like because you're assuming that something is going to have a big logo on it. And I've never seen a Purple Label store, sweetheart. Wealthy people don't go to stores. The store comes to them, so to speak. This is something that is catered and tailored to them and how they want to look. Not to mention, you want to find out who's really wealthy? Look at their teeth, because the wealthier somebody is, the worse their teeth is, because they'll spend money on everything but what is really truly necessary.
Not me. I'm just too poor to go get braces to fix my overcrowding.
Like that. Wealthy people look like they've been chewing
I'm
on rocks
I'm
all day, every
I'm
day.
rich in love and support. Well, like here's my thing is I think people have gotten to a point where we have watched repeatedly over the decades as life has become more expensive and the people who have failed to progress in life. I mean, I'm not saying that we all live these great lives, but those people who properly manage their money, who do make it, who make it a priority to ensure that everything that's in the house is needed, that a roof stays over your head, and things like that. They do what they need to do to make that happen, but they also find a measure of happiness in their life. There is a simplicity in the fact that they know that there is security in what they have. And the years have just eroded that because now it's a situation where 60-70% of the populace is 1 to 2 paychecks away from homelessness, food insecurity, medical insecurity, transportation issues. You know, people have gotten to a point now because the cost has gotten so high and the revenue has stayed so low. The loss of benefits, as we discussed earlier, people aren't staying as healthy as they were before because they have insurance that they're paying $1,200 to $2,400 a month for, and that's with the ACA credits, you know, and they're still scared to go to the doctor. They're still scared to go to the hospital
And here's the thing that
because
we have to take
that
we have to
insurance
take
only pays
responsibility for it.
30%.
But we have to take responsibility for it. We have to stop just going along and saying, okay, first of all, if you're paying health insurance premiums, why do you have a copay at the doctor's office? Y'all do realize
Right.
that these doctors' offices, these hospitals, they're getting paid in full. Why are they forced to make a profit off of us? Like, we have to stand up. We have to stand up and we have to stop running from unions. We have to, because without unions, you would never have a day off, let alone anything else. Let alone because unions will start something. And then people are like, you know what, we don't want to lose them to the union job. So let's implement this over here. Just like it's no different than the concession that is made when holidays come up. Okay. In the United States, There's no such thing as a national holiday. I need y'all to stop saying that. We have federal holidays. In all legality, while y'all sitting here bitching and moaning and groaning, talking about it's a federal holiday, they have to pay me. No, they don't. No,
No,
they
they
don't.
don't.
The only ones that have to be paid for federal holidays are federal workers within DC, within Washington, DC. Outside of that, nobody else is obligated. They made it a tradition, but y'all got complacent and never made it a law. They don't have to give you that day off. They don't have to pay you. They don't have to guarantee you shit. But you don't take the time to learn anything, and you're allowing people to slip things out because you don't know the scope of your power. You keep cowering to people that you actually are the boss of, but you want to sit here and stalk your second grader's teacher's Instagram and report her to the school board because after hours on a Saturday out with her friends, she had one margarita. And you think that that's not good, but you're not up there talking about, hey, I should be paid properly. These prices shouldn't be increasing the way that they are. Market prices go up when we don't pitch a fit. We keep making fun of the French, but you want to know what the French won't do? The French won't allow themselves to be price gouge. The French won't let themselves to be taxed and not get the proper representation that they feel that they deserved and they earned. The French won't let people talk shit about fellow Frenchmen, minus the racism, of course. But
Obviously.
we have to take some accountability. We have to get this shit straight. Y'all sit back and let too much happen. There is no reason that something that went from being $2.50 is now $10. Ain't no way. Don't say, well, every year the price of living goes up. Says who? Says who? We are society. Therefore, we make our own rules. Why are we making rules and making prices that we can't adhere to? That's stupid. That's like me inviting you into my house and letting you make rules for me that I don't like. Get the fuck out of here.
And the wild thing is, there used to be a fear from corporations. They still enjoyed the free market, right? But there was a fear from corporations that if they put their profit lines a little bit too much, if they decided to line their pockets just a little bit too much, that the federal government would come in and be like, what the hell is going on here? Prime example, when they broke up Ma Bell. I've always been in the South. I grew up in the South. It was Southwestern Bell where I lived after they broke up Ma Bell, the monopoly Ma Bell had. And the only reason they broke up the monopoly that Ma Bell had is because they had raised the cost of basic phone service, which you needed at a minimum to be able to get help, because we're talking about a time when cell phones did not exist. You had your home phone, that was your central line of communication, right? And not every house, on the street had a phone, and that was a problem. And they started looking at it and they were like, well, hey, Ma Bell is dictating the cost of this across the board. And it's gotten to a point now where people who are living on the fringes of society, people who are living below the poverty line, and mind you, back then, below the poverty line was making less than $10,000 a year, right? So people who are living below the poverty line are not able to afford home phone service. And why did this get called to the attention of our government? Because people were having sweeping disasters, burglaries, fires, murders, like all of it
And we
across the
broke up
board.
conglomerates to still let more conglomerates, because now they're letting Duke Energy take over everything. And instead of having,
Mhm.
MCI and AT&T take over your landline and your long distance and Pacific Bell, they're now letting cell phone companies do it. And once again, we got to take responsibility because they have convinced you to make fun of people with prepaid service. Newsflash, everybody who has a cell phone is on a prepaid service. You're prepaying for the next month. This is why if you don't pay your bill, they cut it off. You're not post-pay. So I need you to realize that somebody that you're making fun of that's paying $45 to $60 a month for service, and you sit there talking about, well, I paid $200. I want you to think, why are you comfortable with bragging about paying more for the same service? I need you to think about it. If they're able to give this person all the bells and whistles for $45 to $60, Why are they charging you hundreds of dollars?
Because
It is
and
no
people
different.
people fall into that. That's the problem, is it's all it's all glamorized, and you have to have this. It used to be, before it was, oh, I've got an iPhone, I've got a Samsung, I've got a Nokia. It was, oh, I have AT&T. Oh, well, I'm with Verizon. It's still the same with
Yeah,
credit
it was.
card
Oh well,
companies.
who do you have for your long distance? I have AT&T. I have MCI, and I have
Right.
MCI
Oh,
World. Like
MCI takes me
this is
back.
how it was. And then at the beginning of the internet, well, who do you have? I have AOL. Oh,
Right. And you're over here with, with the free
your
net,
phone company's
net gain.
dial up. And then it went from
Right.
dial up to, oh, well, I can be on the phone and use my dial up all at the same time.
Mhm.
Like they make you
And then when they
feel
got the
like
cable
this
in,
is something. And it's
it's
because, like, when cell phones first came out, well, you had the two-way pagers, which was texting, and everything else. They tried to make like they made it seem like it was so expensive. I need y'all to think that we came from a time where they were charging you by the character, but then saying, hey, it's free after this time. And then people woke up and was like, if it's free after this time, why isn't it free all the time?
and
Because
then they
obviously we're
introduced the
not doing any
unlimited
business,
plans.
right? Because everybody's waiting to text, make phone calls, everything till after 7 o'clock,
Right.
and they're or wait until the weekend. So you're not making any money off of us during the week. And then we're like, oh yeah. And it's like, I need that to come back. You've lost the drive to fight for yourself because you're too busy fighting to look better than the next person. And for those
And
that
you're
are like,
also
well, you
falling
make
for the
everything,
stupidity.
yeah,
You're
and for
falling
people
for
that
the
go, well, you
stupidity.
make everything political, sweetheart. Politics is life. Politics is about the governing of society. Are you not society? Everything about you, everything about existence is political. It
It's a
is
snowball
human
effect.
rights.
If you're not implementing the policy changes that need to be implemented to prevent these things from happening, because the reason we see all of these changes is one of two reasons. Either the people complain to their representatives for laws to be put into place to address these issues, or the consumer votes with their dollars. We watched them go from charging characters to free after a certain time. And then instead of just making it free for the people who couldn't afford it, they created an elitism. So, oh, okay, well, yeah, we could offer unlimited texting for this amount of money if you want to sign up for this plan. And then whenever they did the free phone calls after 9 o'clock, everybody was waiting to use their brick. I had a Motorola brick. Everybody was waiting to use their brick to make their phone calls after 9 o'clock. And then all of a sudden it was, well, we could make your calls unlimited if you wanted to pay. I think it was like $199
Yeah,
whenever it first
and
started out.
long distance companies started coming out with sweetheart deals because people in the early days of cell phones, people got cell phones specifically for long distance calls.
And international calling, because that was before they made it expensive to do international
Yeah,
calls.
because it was free or at a minute, or you could get an international phone card, load minutes, and talk to people. So people were getting, because I have family members that had cell phones just for long distance calls, like no more, no less. Um, and I'm just like, okay, like, and it's a matter of, and this is a lesson. Take from the cattle ranchers. Take from the cattle ranchers, because I think a lot of this message is going over a lot of people's heads. Pricing is determined by demand, but we, the people, create the demand. We can demand the better pricing. Stop sitting here going, well, when are we going to roll back to when this was this price? Why did you keep paying for it when the price increased?
Not buying it. People don't realize it would take less than 30 days if people would just listen. And usually it's the people who have had to live with practically nothing, right? Like,
And it's like,
I've lived in my
complain.
car.
Complain
Right.
like the Karens and Richards
Right.
do. Let them
Quit buying
let
it.
a dime go up on their favorite item at their favorite diner. They're gonna bitch and complain and be like, wait a minute. Last week I came in here and it was $3. Why is it $3.25? And they'll be like, oh, well, Trump had a tariff and it went up. Last week it was three. Like they will. We have to get back to that. And I'm not saying
They
do
will
that
get up and
to
they
the
will leave
poor.
the
Yeah,
cafe.
I'm not saying do that to the poor cashier or the waitress. I'm saying take that to corporate. Go, no,
Mhm.
I'm not paying this. I need y'all to
Stop
stop
buying
being
the stuff.
complacent and then complaining that shit that we know is only worth $2, they're charging us $15 for. Let me explain something to you all, because y'all have lost sight of consumerism. It does not matter what store you go to. It's all coming out of the same sets of factories. I don't care if you get it from Walmart,
It's all coming out
Macy's,
of the
Dollar
same like
Tree,
six
Family
companies.
Dollar, Dollar General, Five Below. Y'all do realize it's all the same stuff. Y'all get on my nerves getting online talking about poor quality here and there. I've worked with overstockers. I've worked when they've gone to get the stuff. They're just changing the packaging. It's all coming out of the same place. Unless you're getting Cafe Bustelo or a Korean coffee, all of it is coming from the same place. It's roasted differently. It's packaged up in the same place. Y'all sitting here swearing up and down. I can tell the difference. You sound like my former patients when I worked in
And if you
healthcare
truly want to
proclaiming,
know,
right,
if
that
you
they could
truly
tell
want
the
to know how
difference between
cheap you can get
caffeinated
it,
and decaf. You can't.
use Walmart as your example because Walmart's great value products are the exact same as the name brand. They are the exact same. That's why they taste the same. That's why they taste exactly the same. But in your
And here's the
mind,
thing,
because you
I'm gonna
see
blow
great
your
value, you
mind.
think it's different. No, wait,
You
wait,
have
wait.
a designer brand, you have
A knockoff.
you have you have a consignment duplicate, and then you have a knockoff. All three of them are made by the same company. Louis Vuitton is selling you even the knockoff, baby. They're all selling you the same thing. They're taking the money every
When
which
Chinese
way from you.
warehouse TikTok came out, that, everybody was laughing it up and yucking it up and, oh, just cheap Chinese stuff. My friend, if you watch those videos, they're not lying to you. They're literally telling you that the difference between your Birkin bag and the bag they're selling you is whether or not they've sewn the label on it. And yet you're going to pay 10% of that. Walmart's great value brand is on average 10 to 50% cheaper than the name brand product. It's the exact same thing. But because you see great value on it, you instantly think it's different. It changes the way you taste it, it changes the way you feel about it. It is all the exact same product. And if you
And
truly,
y'all,
truly, truly wanted to save them,
there are no designer crops. There are no designer. I'm gonna need y'all to let go of buying your groceries according to a label, because who are you letting into your kitchen to look at all your labels? Either you can cook or you can't.
and I
Because
hate to
that's
break
what
the
it
news
boils
to you,
down
but
to.
your Whole Food stuff is just as processed. It's coming from the same place. It's just got an artisan wrapper on it. You can just get things that the other stores aren't going to stock because I hate to break the news to you, but the average family is not looking for croissant bread so they can make French toast. They are looking for the bimbo loaf that is the extra long loaf that is this freaking thin because that's the difference between them getting a week's worth of sandwiches and 2 weeks worth of sandwiches out of it for their husband that works second and third shift.
And
Okay.
it does not matter how much you spend on clothing. If you're not comfortable in the clothes and it's not your style, you're gonna look like shit. You can spend $2,000 and look like 2 cents, and you
And
can
stop
spend
buying clothes
$2
that are
and look like
meant
a
that
million dollars.
stop buying
Buy
clothes that
what
were
is
meant for skinny
comfortable for
people.
you. Stop buying to think that you're shitting on somebody else, because you're not. The only thing you're doing is furthering yourself into debt.
Stop buying clothes that were clearly designed for people who do not eat. I'm not saying don't buy clothes that you think you look good in, even though they come in sizes for skinny people and for fluffy people. I am a fluffy person. There are some outfits out there that I have seen that I have said that is gorgeous, but the cut of it, the shape of it is not meant for anybody who is fluffy. You buy it for the label. You feel horrible when you put it on because it does not look the same as it did with the model that you saw it on, and you just spent $500 for something to gather dust
Yeah,
in your
realize
closet.
everything isn't going to look the same on you, but buy what's comfortable with you and take the
Right,
time to figure out what your style is. Stop
right.
looking at other people going, "Oh, well, such and such, all the men or all the women are swooning at them because they look this way." First and foremost, what you think is attracting other people to somebody, 9 times out of 10, that ain't what's attracting to me.
Well,
It's
and
not.
my thing
It's
is
not
like
because I can tell y'all, most people have no idea what I look like from here down, but my DMs be jumping. Okay, I could look like Mr. Potato Head from here down. Yeah, like let's be real. And there are people who show their whole booty cheeks and they whole booty cat and cooter biscuit all day, every day, and their DMs are dry as hell. Find what works best for you and what you are comfortable in. Confidence is actually what creates sexiness, which drives you there. Stop trying to go broke because you think that's going to draw people to you, or it's
stop
going to
trying
give
to go
people more
broke looking like
confidence.
something that you see
Yeah, but
instead of being
and
who
people are
you
not going to
are.
take you more or less seriously based upon how much you spend on an outfit. I can tell you right now, with all the degrees that I have and all the expertise that I have, people pay the most attention to me when I'm being silly in a pink teddy bear onesie eating Reese cups. Save your
Do
damn
you
money.
know? Do you know that I literally have worked on cases that settled for hundreds of millions of dollars, sitting in a courtroom next to an attorney that makes $750 an hour for his office appointments and $1,200 an hour for his trial time.
Mhm.
And do you know, not once, not one single time, sitting in those courtrooms and sitting in those high powered mediation rooms, did I ever wear a suit that did not come from anywhere other than a suit warehouse? Because I bought a suit that I knew would look good on me. It was a good color, it was a good shape. I had it tailored to me, and I paired it with some DSW shoes and a bag because I knew it would look good on me and I knew I had a certain image I had to make. I had a
Now, if you
friend.
just like things that look a certain way, go for it. Now, we all know I am very particular in what I like. Now, that comes with the duality. There's some things I will put together and design myself because I know what I have in my head that I want, I'm not going to find on the shelf. But there are some things that, yeah, I'm going to pay a little bit more because I want to be one and done. I don't ever want to have to come back and replace this. I know what looks good on me. I know how I want. I'm willing to pay a little bit extra for the longevity, but do what's comfortable for you. What you think, because a lot of these people that folks look up to and they're like, oh, I know they spent this amount. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. The one thing about being wealthy, the one thing about being rich that's great is all the free shit. Okay, this country is set up to give people who don't need free shit a whole bunch of free shit.
Well, my thing is this, like, I could care less how much or how little skin you show. I could care less what your size is and how much or how little skin you
I
show.
do show a whole bunch
Be
of
who
skin. I care.
be,
Show a whole bunch of skin.
be whoever the hell you want to be. I had a friend once that she literally, like, she was a little bit bigger girl, and that's not a hit. She was thick. She was thick. She was gorgeous, okay? She was a little thick, right?
She was a malt, like not a milkshake.
Exactly, and she literally would shop. You remember back in, like, the early 90s, there were those stores that, yeah, they carried the bigger girl sizes, but nothing they had was meant to be worn by somebody who is bigger. Like, the way that they cut it, the inseam, everything else, if you were wearing it and you actually ate something more than a carrot and a cracker a day, then it was gonna have weird bulges in certain areas, right? Like that even shapewear wouldn't fix. And I felt really bad for this girl because you could tell that her insecurity was with her body, right? Like she hated having been large her entire freaking life. Like it really bothered her. And she wasn't even like on my scale of what I consider, she wasn't large, right? She was comfortably fluffy, you know. And but she envisioned being able to shop at those stores. She envisioned being able to wear that clothing and look the way the models did, you know, when they would wear it. And it
Yeah,
was
she should have hung out with me
heart-wrenching.
and my godmothers because all of them heifers is they thickety thick and can dress their asses off and had a list of stores that they would go to. And and that's the thing. This is why we also have to remember as a society, we live collaboratively and we need to start living cooperatively.
Mhm.
because a lot of times people are suffering or feeling like they can't just because they're lacking the information, just because they're going to the right when actually this time they need to go to the left, or they need to just keep going straight and they will find their destination. Because I was very much so an adult before I realized that there were plus size men and women who didn't realize that there was fashion out there for them, that there was options. Because I grew up, virtually everybody in my family is thickety thick, thick, thick. Okay. It's the clumps and milkshakes around here. But they had a sense of fashion. They knew where to go get their clothes. They knew how to mix and match. They knew where to go get it. And then I realized a lot of people don't know where to go get these things. And this is where the living cooperatively comes in, because you have a lot of people who feel like they're out here all alone and that they are the only ones experiencing things, because we're not living cooperatively. We're
It's the
living
tribe we keep searching
individualistically,
for.
and
Like,
that individualism is causing us to not just be stalemated, but it's
oh, we're
causing
losing our
us to
village.
deplete. It's causing us to deplete our society. Not only is our economy shrinking, but our society is shrinking. We're not going to have the able-bodied individuals at the top 1% wants to be the worker bees forevermore. We won't be here.
Well, my thing is this. Everybody's complaining about the loss of a village. And I can totally see that. Now, I have not experienced that. Um, you know, I have been very fortunate when things happen that there is a village that encircles me. Even if it's people that don't live near me coming and saying, "Hey, look, I know everybody's asking you, are you okay? But girl, you all right?" You know, to my OG best friend from childhood calling me up and saying, "Hey, I've got a few more vacation days. Do you need me to drive down and just kind of help you out?" Like people, but I'm also the kind of person you see the loss of the village because people are so much individualized. It's a I don't want your help. I don't need your help. I'm not going to help
No, it's
you.
not a loss. It's not a loss of village. Some people never had a village. Um, some people have never been in community. They've never helped build a community. They're trying to save face and say that they've lost their village or they've lost community. They haven't been built. There are a ton of
Well, they
communities
never
that
put in
have
the
not been
effort.
built.
You
So
can't you can't have
you
a
can't
village
sustain
whenever you've
something.
decided to be by yourself.
Well, you can't sustain something that was never there. The rugged individualism for many people, that's all they know because that's all they've ever been around. They have been around a whole bunch of teeny tiny individuals that don't want to get together. It hasn't been a decline, there's just never been an increase. The building materials have been sitting on the side of the road for centuries now. They never built community to have a village within the community.
Well, and the other problem is that they are not comfortable operating by themselves or in a village. Because the reality is, while they haven't built a community, they have relied on other people. You find most of them are people who have used people to attain where they are. They've never really had to do it on their own. They've done it through digging their heels into the backs of others. And now that there's nobody else to climb over and they're still tumbling down the hill, they're screaming, "Where's my village?" You walked all over it. They left
Yeah,
to go
they
help.
never had a village. They're not asking where the and see when they're asking for a village is you have to realize that these people who are clambering over and stepping over people, they're the ones that embody their ancestors. They embody the thieves of the globe, and they're still trying to steal free labor. And that's in their mind, that's what the village is, that free labor. That's not a village. Your village was never there. You never had a village. You had children for the sake of capitalism. You wanted free labor and you still want free
There's a
labor.
whole
You claim
generation
to
out
have a
there of people
family.
ignored because of that.
You claim that you want a family, but you just want additional free labor. And because people pick up on whatever is the popular verbiage at the time and they use it to center themselves into victimhood. You can't be a victim of something you never participated in. If you've never built a community and have never been in a community, you didn't lose it. You didn't step on it. You were never within the gates of the community. You didn't step on the community. The
Well, and
community just put a
I would
gate
give
up that
this
didn't let you in.
I would give this advice to the people who are now struggling and screaming, "Where is the community? Why can we not unite? Why have you shunned me?" And I offer this from somebody with a 30-year abuse cycle. I would encourage everybody to get very comfortable with being self-sufficient. Because if things continue the way they are, there's going to be two groups of people. There are going to be the people who know how to operate within the village, to operate within that unity, to operate within that cooperation. And there are going to be the people who do not. And those people are going to be the ones who need to learn how to survive on their own. Now, Taz, I know that you come from a similar background as mine, so we know what it's like to have to survive on your own. We know what it's like to have to make those hard choices without that pool of advice, without those ancestors to guide you and whisper in your ear. We know what it's like to have to make hard decisions and know that our decision determines where we go, right? Those people who have spent all of that time getting help. And I say this because SNAP benefits are ending. And the people who work the jobs, the people who do the things, the people who try the hardest, you know, a large chunk of them are people who voted for this to happen. You made that choice knowing damn good and well that your family could not survive without that assistance. Knowing damn good and well that you are 1 month's benefits away from food insecurity, medical insecurity, and housing insecurity. And you still voted for somebody who openly said they were looking to take that away, who gave you a blueprint of everything that they were going to do. And nowhere in that blueprint did they say, we're going to spare the MAGAs. Nowhere in that blueprint did they say, the people who vote for me are not going to be subjected to this. You will still get your things because at the end of it all, they just wanted your vote. So, as an abused person, I would tell you, you are about to face a very hard road and you need to learn to be self sufficient. And it breaks me to have to say that to people because I have been in that headspace. I know what it's like to see everything go and you're like, oh my God, how am I going to survive? And you're going to reach out to the people that you insulted, the people that condemned you, or that you condemned, the people that you chastised, harassed, got fired, called names, told them they were stupid, and you're going to beg them for help. And you may or may not get what you need because there are some of us out there who are going to see your starving children and we're going to give you food. There are going to be people like us out there who are going to see your toe sticking out of your shoes and know that you made the decision between getting a pound of ground beef so that your children can have protein for the next 2 weeks, or getting a new pair of work boots and we're going to help you out with some boots. Or you're going to get people like yourself, predominantly people in the red states. You're going to get people like yourself who are going to say, well, I guess you need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Figure it out. Go donate some plasma. Get a third job. Because even in all of this, even with them losing their benefits, they are so far gone that they are still going to carry the party line while they go to bed hungry, while they watch their car get repoed, while they get their third eviction notice. Self sufficiency is going to be important right now for a lot of
And
people.
here's the thing, also keep in mind, we're going to go through another renaissance. Um, and this will not be a global renaissance. We're going to have another Harlem renaissance. It just won't take place in Harlem. And we're going to go through another enlightenment period because the last enlightenment period that we had was because of great stupidity and ignorance. And we are on the precipice of that, where intellectualism is going to fight for a comeback, and there's going to be a lot of enlightenment. Also, the historically downtrodden will need a release, and not a release from more torment, a release from outwardly saying, I told you so. Because you cannot make those that you have kept at the underrungs of society suffer more than they already have. We won't be the ones that will suffer. That is what we are going to go through. Whether another Great Depression happens or not, there are those that have been forced for generations to consistently live in survival mode. We will sail through this. And this is what I say, you cannot blame a community or look for a community when you never put a brick down to build a community. You have gladly stood outside the gates of community. And right now, the locks are being put on for the protection of the greater good. This is why it is time to reconcile with the actual past of the United States and finally start to teach and learn it for what it is so we can break the cycle of this doping up with steroids Groundhog Day. Because I know where this is going to end. I know how this is going to lead. There are a lot of people posturing about a few things because once in eighth grade, they read an article about this, or they came across a channel and heard about this, that, and the other. No, the Trump family is not about to flee to Argentina. Yes, there were some Nazis that fled to Argentina. The vast majority of them are your family members.
Hmm.
They're right here on US soil. There's nowhere for them to flee. The playbook that everybody has used for their tyranny belongs to the Library of the United States. It got checked out, it got returned, and we're adding notes to it. There's not going to be some great fleeing, but there also will not be a singular family of aristocracy. The United States was set up to pretend as if it didn't want a king. It does want a king. It wants a succession of kings. We just put term limits on the king and we allow other families to play the part of king. And if you think that I'm joking, why did for a period of time we call the White House Camelot? Why are we still chasing Camelot? We want these things. We just want to change the names of them. If we didn't, our governors wouldn't be called governors. We wouldn't have certain things. We wouldn't have things in a certain manner. Our president is no different than King Chuck the Cuck over in the UK. Symbolic as best, and we send them out there as our spokesperson. We just don't call it parliament, we call it Congress. We have to be
Because we
honest
like
with
the
who we
idea of
are.
democracy.
Yeah, we have to be honest about who we are and what we stand for. And for the love of all things holy, you have to go out and do the work. United States, you have to stop. You have to finally get out of your slave master enslaved mentality and sitting back and waiting for somebody else to do the work. Stop excusing yourself out of doing your due diligence. Because I promise you, if I said, hey, you guys, whoever can make sure that the government reopens, I'll give them $750,000. You wouldn't have any excuses, but you would have a million ways on how to plausibly fix it and get it back open and get a set budget in place.
The amount of fight that I see in people, because literally this is this is the whitehead coming to the top of your skin for deconstruction. This is this is the boil that needs to be popped. And what we are seeing here, what is festering under the skin, is the people who absolutely refuse to deconstruct. The rest of the nation has opened their mind, their heart, and their intellect to the opportunity to deconstruct and make a better world for everyone. And what we have is the pus of the infection that has been in our country for centuries coming to a head. And that pus is fighting every step of the way. That's why we are seeing a regression back into Nazism. That is why we are seeing white supremacy come out from under the rock that it was shoved under. Still festering there, still in the back rooms of little towns, mostly in the South, but they were always smart enough to keep their robe in the closet and their thoughts hidden while they were out in the community, right? And so now what we're seeing is the blister come to a head. And once we pop it, much like anything else, we're going to clean out the pus and we're going to move on with what we're doing. But the fact of the matter is, we can probably kiss our world as we knew it goodbye. It's it's gone. We will never go back to pre 2020. We will never go back to pre 2024. We have to now find a new way. And if you cannot, as I used to say to people, especially whenever I had a lot going on, like when Kaylee was a baby and she was really sick, right? I used to tell people, this train is headed out. You can either get your ass on board and come along for the ride, or you can get your ass on the platform and get the hell out of my way. Either way, we're getting ready to be wheels on rails, baby. You can either get on board with where this country is going, or you can continue to fight it until it's over, because the reality is we know that it's going to crumble. This cannot survive forever. And leadership knows it's going to crumble. That's why we are seeing them scrambling to get as much in place as they possibly can, because they believe that if they can get enough in place before it crumbles, then they can continue with their mission. They have underestimated the American people. We are tired of it. We are sick of watching this happen. We are sick of the worst of our society having the loudest voice and the most obnoxious narrative. And unfortunately, there has to be a little bit of discourse in order for that to happen. I just never, honestly, Taz, and we're going to wrap it up. We're about 30 minutes past due of quitting time. But I love to hear your perspectives. You always offer such great insight. Um, so I just have to say this. I never thought, I don't fashion myself an overly intelligent woman, you know? I consider myself the same as the rest. Most people are like, "Oh no, you're pretty smart." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you know what? I'm just smart because I get bored and I research things. I do legal research for a living. I work for lawyers. So obviously it's something I love to do. And I never in my life would have thought that bringing this boil to a head would involve so much unmitigated stupidity. I fully blame the No Child Left Behind program that we were subjected to as kids.
Children have always been left behind. Here's the thing. Bush put a name to it.
Because there were
Educational
some
systems
people that
have
maybe
not,
didn't need to graduate. You know what I'm
but
saying?
here's the thing. School systems have not always existed here, and full on school systems were shut down to avoid desegregation. We've been leaving children behind forever. We're still leaving children behind. And we're leaving them behind in reality because we keep wanting to push them through. If they can dribble the ball, if they can pass the pigskin, we're like, oh, just push them through, just pass them. If they can, keep winning the county fair pageants, we push them through. We've been doing this. We have never fully educated anyone in this country because we keep thinking that we're going to get ahead and be the best by just marketing ourselves to be that instead of actually working towards it. We indoctrinate people to be against immigrants when that's all that's sustaining us right now because we're not even educating each other to be on par with mediocrity.
And the only reason we really do that, the sole purpose of that, is because they don't look like us, they don't talk like us, their neighborhoods don't smell like ours.
No, it's
And
not
at the
that.
end of
It's
it
to cover
all,
up the fact that white men who set themselves as a standard have never been a standard and that
oh,
white
they're
men have been
mediocre.
stealing that have been stealing from all of these other people in order to get ahead. That's why
Right.
they're doing it.
I
And
was gonna say
what we're seeing now,
it makes
what
us
we're
look
seeing
bad.
now is that this is the generation that wasn't let in on the lie. Previous generations were told, like, yes, we're lying to them. We need them and we're going to steal from them. We're lying to them. We're seeing the generation that wasn't told that it's a lie. That's why they're like, no, this is merit based. We're getting rid of all the black and brown and we're going to do it. And we're seeing how below mediocre they are. They need someone to steal from and they need someone to blame. When you eradicate the country from all of their patsies and their profit margins, they're not going to make it. If white men could make it on their own,
They
white
would
men would
have.
still be in they would still be in Europe, because when you have a utopia, you don't leave it. Even if they wanted to come over here and do something, they would have been able to survive without kidnapping people.
Well, I mean, it goes back to the old adage. I had somebody on one of my videos saying white people have culture. No, we don't. Our culture was theft. That was our culture. People often forget that while a few clergy and leaders came over to this country from the European countries, our populace was largely built by prison colonies. It was largely built by prison colonies, and you sent these prison colonies out to clear land and to, you know, lay,
But let's not
territories
forget
and
that the
things like
prison
that.
colonies were the clergy, the
Exactly
Mather
my point.
family.
I have never understood why people are so shocked that we are being led by a criminal when our country was founded by criminals.
Yeah, the tyrannical came over here. I know that everybody sold the story that, oh, they were being persecuted and they came. No, they were the persecutors, and people were tired of being persecuted by them. They kicked them out, and because they were close relatives with the criminals came with them. Like, these are people who were
They
coming
offered
over
an
here boinking
opportunity.
manatees. They
Listen,
was
they
getting their
offered an
groove on
opportunity.
with bison. Do you know how diabolical you have to be to hold down a moose and try to capture their Bucci cat? Like, come on, people.
They were providing a service and an opportunity to the crowns, because for every single prisoner that they got to bring over, they got paid. Those crowns got paid. Those various countries got paid. And they provided labor. But when they ran out of prisoners, because there were certain people that just weren't meant to go there, they weren't the most quote unquote heinous of the heinous. In other words, leaving the people in prison there that had connections, right? They had to find their other workforce. The natives, as they called them, or they called them the savages, but Native Americans, they weren't having it. They weren't having it. They weren't going to become the reason that they
No, they were
slaughtered.
dying. They were dying.
They were
They were
dying.
dying. That's why
The
they were
reason,
replaced. They were dying. The original workforce that came over here, there were people who came over and was like, you know what? We can show them. We can survive. They didn't. They didn't. People lost wives. And what really got them were the wives that were losing husbands. And because they were taught, oh, you can't go out in the field, you can't do this, that, the other. And then they realized, we don't really know anything about agriculture. We don't know anything about this. So they tried to force the natives to do it. And the natives could not withstand the schedule that they put them on, because natives work according to nature, according to the migration schedules. Natives at that time were not accustomed to being in one part of anything all year round. They started to die. So then that's when they started to go coastal, and starting with the Portuguese, let's not forget, that's who started all this shit in order to make a name for royal companies, for the royal family. And then the British got involved and was like, hold up, wait a minute. We can have a monopoly on this. We'll hire the privateers to go out there, and we'll have the privateers work double duty, not just in our trade where we stop trading everything else but black bodies, but they'll also work as our navy. White people and capitalism are some of the cheapest motherfuckers on the planet. And even with that, the privateers were so greedy with their profits that a lot of them were getting scurvy X, Y, and Z because they weren't even loading up on proper supplies. They didn't want to use their stipends to even feed themselves.
And they literally just use people as cattle. Like the number, like I got in trouble with one of my kids' teachers because he came home with his, because this time of year around Thanksgiving, everything is always whenever they talk about, the founding of the nation and all of that stuff. And he came home with his
Mm.
homework, and I said, "Well, this isn't correct," and I corrected it. I was kind enough to correct it. I talked about the number of people who didn't make it off those boats. Okay. I talked about the actual cost of human life just for the transport alone, where the famous phrase came from, "Don't tell me about the seas you sailed. Tell me about the ships you brought into port."
Mhm.
Because the seas were filled with people who didn't make the journey. And those slave traders did not want to hear about the number of bodies and what happened when you were supposed to bring a certain number and you didn't show up with a certain number.
And not only that, when you had privateers, you also had pirates. Let's not
Yep.
forget that they were stealing full grown people from other people.
Mhm. And it divulged into, and the thing that just blows me away is, and I commented on a video whenever I saw it. Some guy saying, "I don't understand what the problem is. I never owned slaves." That was his statement. "I never owned slaves. Me personally, I never owned slaves." But then two comments down, he's talking about, "Well, when Trump finishes up, I'm going to get at least 3 people to work at my house." Oh, so you never owned
Here's the
slaves, but your
thing, the people
ancestors
who
did?
say that they never owned slaves, those are the people that are traditionally forced birthers. You did own slaves. The problem is they're just genetically linked to you, which is on par historically.
And those are the same people who will sit there and try to have morality in saying, "I never owned slaves. I don't know what my family did." But then they'll make a statement like that, which tells you, okay, you didn't, but if you could, you would have.
More than likely, and here's the thing, participating in chattel slavery goes far beyond just owning them because look at today. Look at who's contributing silence, complacency, and side gigs. Like you were probably your parents were probably the crackers of the plantation. They enjoyed cracking the whip on people, or they were part of the slave patrol, or they ran the Quaker stores where they were lying to the parents of freedmen and taking their children in and re-enslaving them and forcing them to work in the storefronts. See, we need to stop glorifying people, thinking that people were abolitionists because they were pro-black. No, no, they were anti. You're not going to make money that I can't make. But oh, girl, we'll go on forever. We can do
I
a
know we
part two if
would.
you like.
Listen, I would love to have you back as a regular guest. I always enjoy
Hey,
your
just let me
insight.
know. You know I'm always here for you.
I know. I got
I'm
to go to
saying for
bed
use.
too.
Anybody watching, don't be like, oh, I'll just hit up Taz. No, this is for Bunny. This ain't for everybody.
Don't mess with my Taz.
Thank you.
Okay? You've seen what I can do. Don't make me do that to you. I protect Taz at all cost, okay? I appreciate you coming on. I will definitely have you back. We could probably do a marathon fundraiser one day.
We could.
Because we could just go and go. You and I's brain works the same way. We can start on one thing and there's going to be 7 side quests, 12 different stories, and at least 2 dozen examples of what it is we're talking about before we ever get back to the original point. But it all ties in, right? It all ties in.
It all does. It all comes together.
All right, so guys, catch us again on Friday for Friday fuckery, and then Saturday for Saturday shit show. Thank you so much for joining us. We will have the great and powerful Taz back again. In fact, I may just sit back and let her have the hour and a half and go to town because you know what, you do it so much better than I do. Thanks again, guys. Be sure to share and bring me subscribers because honestly, I'm trying to make some damn money off y'all. I'm not even gonna lie. Okay. Thank you again, my dear. Have a good night, everybody. We will see you on Friday. Oh, Taz, go ahead and pitch your stuff real quick.
Oh, first of all, if you don't join me every day daily for the Taz Effect, then you're not getting daily news in a way that you didn't realize that you could use. You can find me on TikTok at TazJ15 or here on YouTube at TazJ77. And I have history, I have news, I have comedy, I have breakdowns on everything. I've got everything that you need and more. And it's in a cute little package. And if you don't subscribe to my stuff, that means that you're anti-Taz, and I will be what goes bump in the night for you.
And for the MAGAs, since y'all can't read, Taz does do a reading of books on her lives. She will take you through the books that she finds most interesting, and who knows, maybe you'll learn something. All
If
right,
nothing
thank you
else,
so much,
you'll learn
guys.
not to troll me because I cuss people out.
I have seen what you do. And girl, listen, I don't know how people sit because they're watching before they do it. They have got to have some kind of a humiliation kink because listen, you don't even eject him out. You're like, you're like a cat with a mouse. I'm just gonna whop.
I think they just like when I switch up languages. I think that's what does it for them.
Know what does it for? You know what? Listen, they're subs. They like to be dominated. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Be sure to catch Taz on all of her social medias. Subscribe to her, follow her. She is a brilliant person. And she'll probably let you know the next time that she's going to be guesting. I will definitely let you know. And I'll see you guys on Friday. Have a great one, gang.